Hey everyone, welcome to the Gitlit podcast, a tech founder's tale about the success, failures, and tips around building your own startup. My name is David Biga, your host, and we're here with episode 4. Excited to be here. Thanks for tuning in and get started. So, in this episode, we're going to focus on 4 things. First, episode 4, we are talking about handling failures in a startup. And I'd like to cover 4 different topics here. One, when to realize that things aren't going well. And then 2, when to ask for help. And then also managing expectations of failure. And this would mean, you know, including that of others' expectations. And then also I'll wrap things up with a personal story and journey of mine that I'll share with you guys. So really understanding where your business is heading or when it's heading in the wrong direction and how to ask for help while managing these expectations is can be very difficult, but it's necessary. And as more than likely, you are going to face these challenges at some point in your life. Um, so let's jump in. So first, I want to chat about recognizing when things aren't going well. And as a technical founder, it is a it's common to not have certain skills developed around business development or money management that help you in steering the direction of your business in a way that you want it to go. And I don't mean that as an excuse to not develop those skills or not have those, but more so just recognizing that when you're a technical founder, you know code, you know tech, you know how to build a team, build a product, and um, there can be some difficulties or areas that you struggle with, and um, but at the same time, a startup, there really is no exact blueprint for success or how you should run this startup. Um, there's success and evidence on what you should and shouldn't do, but nothing is ever 100%. And again, one area that is very important to recognize when your company is heading in the wrong direction is that not recognize, but where you want to be able to, as you develop your skills, as a CEO, as someone who is running a business, the very, one thing that is extremely important is that you recognize when your company is heading in the wrong direction as soon as possible, as early as possible. So not tomorrow I find out that, oh, we can't pay bills. No, you should um know and understand that far in advance. So really the big areas that cause a company, and in this case a startup, to head in the bad direction or wrong direction, that you can identify uh, usually earlier on is, one might be money problems. This is your monthly burn rate versus your monthly revenue that you're making. Um, this, of course, you allocate for. You should have a handle of knowing when and what you're spending money on, what you're not spending money on. And this, of course, money problems are typically, I'd say 90% of of issues that end up coming up that aren't going well because you're burning too much and you're running out of money. Another common thing that I'd say is market rejection. Um, so customers are not willing to pay you, and I think understanding that is very important for you, especially very early on. And, another third one that can be a cause of your company heading in the wrong direction is bad hires or just bad employees. Um, it's easy to hire people, get people onboarded, but it's hard to hire the right people and to fire people later on. And so really as the founder and you're most like CEO, uh, you have the most important voice. Think about storming your identification process of identifying like, okay, where's my company right now? Where is it heading? It doesn't look good. Storm that you would like a sprint you would do on a technical, the development team. Storm these problems early to help address uh, issues early on. So, for example, coming back to fundraising, start fundraising early enough so that you don't run out of money. Another is, if no one buys your product, as we talk market rejection, why is that? you know, you need to look at the hard facts. Your baby's ugly, and you need to figure out why no one wants to hold it. And again, back to bad hires, bad employees. You could bring on the bad employees or just really the wrong employees. And this is actually pretty common. I've seen it and have personally dealt with it many times. Uh, Being slow to hire, quick to fire. Best advice I've ever got. The people that you bring on in your company and surround yourself, they will be what makes you successful or makes your company fail. And you want people who are the right hires for the right time. And I'd say who are, much smarter than you. Um, so again, you know, it's and this is something that I've really had to go through, and we'll get into my story at the end here, but of kind of where I'm at right now. But recognizing early on when things aren't going well, and as technical founders, there are certain skills that sometimes make it more difficult for us. Like I was saying before, we might not be business development experts, or accountants, or just really C-suite type positions. And there's a lot of just areas that we don't understand necessarily. And this leads me into that next point of how to ask for help. And this is your one of your greatest assets, one of your greatest allies. It's when you understand that something isn't right, you need help. And the logical next step would be to ask for it. But as myself included, this is sometimes the most difficult thing to do, because it requires vulnerability and humility. And I mean, let's just face it, we don't like to admit that we're struggling, especially with other people. And, with that though, the caveat I'd say, especially as, startup founders, is that, you have a community, a very tight knit community you can hopefully you've already built, but that you can tap into in your city, in your localized area. And that's keep a founder to founder network, because um, that not only creates lifelong friendships with people who think like you, but it also gives you the comfortability to talk with people who understand or who have gone through issues that you are facing. Um, and these are just, they're some of the greatest friends that I've been fortunate enough to grow alongside with, because when they succeed, I succeed. And what I mean by that is through our relationship that we have together, we can serve and help one another no matter the ups and downs that we go through. I'm struggling with fundraising. Great. I have my buddy that I can give a call. Hey, I'm struggling with this. What did you end up doing when you were trying to fundraise? And he'll list, here's the steps I took, here's what worked, or he'll tell you that, hey, no one wants to hold your baby because it's ugly. And I think you should do this. And just having those vulnerable and real conversations are just their make or break. And I think that the faster you can grapple with being vulnerable to others, the quicker you can turn your startup around to really point your ship in the direction you're wanting to head towards that means success for your company. And which then leads, into my next point of with steering your ship. And if it is not going the way you need it to go, there's managing expectation of failure. And I think that this is low key, very underrated. Um, you've always heard manage expectations, but I think there is an art and a necessity in just managing the expectation of failure. Like, here's what failure means, here's what it looks like. And these are the expectations you should expect if we fail. Um, and I just, this hits home for me personally right now. Again, I'll get into that. But managing expectations in life is crucial. Not, I won't get all preachy on you or philosophy on you, but you know, we all know that we have expectations in life and we all have failure. That's just how it goes. But when you're in an emergency, like when you have your company, things aren't going well, you're in emergency mode. I gotta execute, I gotta boom, 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 make things happen. And you're needing to do everything you can to keep your money going, employees working, or your customers paying. And in these situations, managing what that failure looks like to others uh, is key. It's so important, not only to others, to your team, to your investors, to yourself. And here, for example, just to piggyback off that, you can, let's say you surprise your employees that, hey, everyone's fired. You can't make payroll next week. And many, if most, startups really end up in this situation. They just, they run till they die and they don't really communicate a lot. On the flip side of that, other startups I've known is that you can be consistent. Bring the team in by raising an early alarm and let them know that you have, hey, I have X amount of dollars left. And if we don't hit our goals, it's going to mean that we can't pay you. And there's two points of view here. But I believe really just the takeaway here, for this example is that there is failure, and managing those expectations and what this means is really the difference for life and death in many ways of your startup. And, I think another crucial area of managing these expectations of failure is to your investors. Be real with them and let them know that, for example, you have 4 months of runway left. And if you don't have enough traction to raise the additional money or customer revenue by month 2, you're going to shut down. And I think this is way more proactive than abruptly saying that, hey, we've ran out of money and we're shutting down. So, manage your teams and your investors' expectations on really what failure means. So, with that, kind of covered a couple things here. That's recognizing that, hey, here's when things aren't going well. There's, hey, ask for help, and just managing those expectations of failure. And that leads me up to story time. Story time with David. This is, for me, this is really raw. This is really new as of July 2023. This is where I'm at. And so, just I have a startup, particle space, real estate technology, and we've raised nearly $1 million over the past 2 years. And we've seen great growth at first. We also saw that we then saw that customers we were reaching out to were running out. Through this, we identified, hey, this is not good. We're not seeing enough customers anymore. We're running out of market. And we were like, okay, we need to pivot. So we did that. We pivoted, and we continued to struggle, where our revenue just couldn't keep up with our burn rate, and we weren't growing at the rate that we needed to raise our next round of funding for our seed fund. So I'm in this hard place because we've become uninvestable between our pre-seed and seed stage funding, between this in between zone. And with the current climate of the economy for fundraising in the US as of, again, July 2023, um, we have found it to just be very, very difficult. And say, hey, you've raised almost 1 million, your monthly reoccurring revenue is not where it needs to be. Um, you know, we have other deals that are less risky, whatnot, very valid things. And of course, there's more to this, just traction and being unable to raise more money. But really the point here is that we're heading in, we're heading in the direction where we're needing to shut down in the next few months. And this is really tough. And I mean, let's be honest, this sucks for me. You feel like you've let your team down, yourself down, and your investors down. But, you know, no matter how it turns out, whether we raise the extra cash we need, we're able to get our monthly recurring revenue over to what we spend every month before we run out of cash, whatever happens, um, I will be proud of myself for the fact that I managed expectations early on. So my team knew that if we didn't raise or hit our KPIs, we'd have to start making difficult decisions like cutting employees. I've already started doing that. My investors were also have been consistently in the loop with biweekly investor update emails. I managed people's expectations on what our failure looks like. Um, and I've painted a picture of what success and what failure looks like here in the next few months. Um, you know, just failure sucks. But it's part of growing, and it's part of the journey of life, but it's just part of the journey of startups. And it can be what turns things around. Failure can be what turns things around for better or for worse. Whether your company shuts down or succeeds at the last moment. And you know again, something that has been inevitable for me is that using failure to propel you forward, trying to recognize it early so that you can make corrections and pivots, so that you can then ask for help and you have friends who can support you. You know, my encouragement is, manage yourself and your team's expectations for what your failure means very early on, and have a clear picture of uh, what you need, what you need to do. And your team honestly will thank you for this. Um, I've seen this turn around where, you know, the team knew and they respected me for that. Um, but keep going. I'm going to keep going. Don't quit, because guess what? You'll win if you don't quit. I don't mean beat a dead horse if your company's just not going to work, but don't give up. Keep pushing, set goals, set expectations, and move forward. So thank you so much. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning into the Gitlit podcast. And again, my aim is just to share the tales of success, failures, and tips to help other tech founders on their journey of building a startup. If you have any other tips that you wish you knew, hit me up on Twitter at David Biga, and we'll see you next time in the next episode. Thanks again, guys. Bye.